And here we go. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can you guys hear me? Of course. Sorry, this is my first time using Streamlabs, and as a result, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. So, give me a couple of moments to figure out where the hell I am and what is going on. Okay. Wow, Streamlabs is not user-friendly at all. That's what I'm looking for. Audio is good? Excellent. That's great. How y'all doing today? How are we all doing? All right. Good. Now, what I'm going to do here is maybe try to put on a little bit of music to also be in the background. Hopefully, it's not too loud. How's that, guys? Is it too loud? Cool. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the very first shipbuilding stream. I am your host, Captain Zelnick. And while I'm desperately trying to figure out how Streamlabs works, I think we'll just kind of bumble on through things and figure it out as we go. All right. So first, I've been getting a lot of requests recently to make a stream about building fleet lists. Now, another quick question. Can you guys see the calculator and can you guys see the notepad? I'm relying on you guys. Lascaris, Bianca, can you see the calculator and can you see the notepad? Oh god, I don't know if anyone can see me. Okay, that's great. Good start. All right, first thing to do, why don't you guys pick a fleet and I will make a fleet out of it. Okay, sorry, there's probably a bit of a delay, so just bear that in mind. Pick it. Why don't you guys pick a fleet and we can start building a fleet. Now, tell me what kind of fleet within that fleet. How do you want to fight with that? How do you want to play against her? You want to do Tau? Hey, what's up, Nina? Tau Protector. So Commerce Protection Fleet, the newer one, the newer one, Korovesh. Okay. So let's talk about the Korovesh. I had to go all the way down to the bottom here. Okay. Oh, that's Necrons. Tau, Tau, Tau. Here we go. Okay, so the Tau Commerce Protection Fleet. How many points? 1,500? 2,000? What are we doing? So here we go. Commerce Protection Fleet list. Gotta love that that proper formatting there. Okay, here we are. Commerce Protection Fleet list. How many points, guys? How many points are we doing? 1,500. That works for me. Okay, so when you are building a Tau list, we are remembering a couple of things. Number one, Commerce Protection Fleet is just like the other Tau list, it is an ordnance heavy list. So we have to bear that in mind while we are building our fleet. We need to maximize our bombers, our fighters, and our torpedoes. And we have to do it in a formation and in a fashion that allows us to have some pretty effective firepower. Now, okay, the Tau Commerce Protection list can go two ways. We can go escort heavy, or we can go cruiser heavy, or cap ship heavy. So, which would you guys prefer? Would you like a whole bunch of little escorts, or would you prefer a bit of a mix, or would you prefer cruiser heavy? Gotta wait for that chat to catch up. Gotta love Streamlabs and that delay. Okay, so our two options are going to be fleets that are based off of Castellans and things like Castellans and Orcas. Not Orcas, I mean Wardens. Okay, so the Alvaro Bianconi says that it's better to understand the differences between the two kinds of builds, and that's fair. Okay, so the differences between the two is that the Tau fleet is generally not a very fast fleet. The Commerce Protection fleet is a little bit better at maneuvering than the old Exploration fleet, but it sacrifices some elements of that with higher point costs. Now, I'm going to be avoiding using Orcas and Defenders. I'm going to be just using Commerce Protection ships. You can use them, but generally speaking, Commerce Protection ships are better than their Exploration alternatives, even if they are, comparable. I mean, and cheaper. So a escort heavy list is going to be taking a lot of advantage of the Castellan Starship. The Castellan Starship has a really, really good firepower setup. It's very maneuverable. It's far more maneuverable than its Defender, and it's going to be your bread and butter. You're also going to be having ships, some cruiser vessels, and maybe even a battleship that's going to be taking a bunch of grav hooks, opening up a lot of Warden or Nikasar Dao options. Okay, Bianc, I'll go with Bianc. So on the cruiser side of things, we're going to be focusing more on cruiser-based firepower and having a tougher, more resilient, but a little more static phalanx front line. So we're going to be working a lot with the custodian battleship far more likely, and we're going to be working with things like the Protector and the Emissary, as opposed to focusing more on the use of, say, the Emissary to get those grav hooks going for our ship economy. Both of these options are very effective. One of them is just a little more sturdier. The other one is just overwhelming in firepower, but you're going to be a little weak on the carrier outset unless you play around with an explorer, which is never a bad thing. So Nina Garcia has requested that I do a mix, and I actually really like making mixed fleets. So let's do that. Let's start with the mix, and then maybe we can do some more specifics. Sorry, I'm getting messages on my phone. Okay, so the first thing that we have to consider while we're making a fleet, our commander. Now, the Tau have a very aggravating command chart because we have the Core L and the Core O. The Core L is 50 points, which is fine, at LD8, and the Core O, which is LD9 at 80 points, which is a really weird point value. It gives me a headache because I like nice, even, flat base 5 numbers, and while 80 is a base 5 number, it'd be just so much easier if it was like 100 points or 75. No, they had to make it 80, which makes our math weird. And then we have our extra rerolls. Now, Tau commanders come with a reroll, but we can buy additional ones by taking an on L or an on O. Basically, we're buying extra rerolls. It's very similar to the Imperial Navy cost level, but if we're going to do a balanced list, that means we're going to have a substantial command ship. Now, our command ship can be either a custodian or an explorer. And again, mixed fleet and the Tau, if you go back and look at my descriptions of the Tau vessels, your battleships are essential to the functionality of a larger fleet in the 1500 point range. At least in my opinion, they bring to the table so much, there's no reason not to bring them. So the first question I have to ask is, am I bringing a custodian, or am I bringing an explorer, or am I bringing both? Because you can do that. You can take as many explorers as you like. Isn't this sexy? Look at that. Any number of explorer battleships. You may include up to one custodian per 750 points. At 1,500 points, that means I can bring 2 if I can somehow finagle the math for exactly 1,500 points, which you're going to find is quite difficult. Now, a fleet that, oh, this is just an example. Don't worry about this crap. So I'm going to take a Custodian, mostly because it is a decent speed, high, reasonable durability battleship that has good launch capacity, good firepower, and has the tracking system. It is a highly valuable craft. So over here in the calculator, not 3,320, 330. And over in my notepad, I am going to go Custodian at 330. Now, when it comes to Commander, we're doing a 1,500 point list. Okay? At 1,500 points, we are trying to minimize costs for allowing more room for firepower. Generally, though not universally, it's always better to have another ship on the board than to have a better commander. And at 80 points, that is a really awkward leadership value. So I'm going to purchase the 50-point option right off the bat and get the 50-point commander. Now, if we have additional points later on, we can upgrade this, but we'll have to see where we are. So we have an LD8 commander. He's going to sit on our Custodian. Now, let's look at our cruisers. I can have any number of merchant, emissary, or protector class starships and 1 hero for every other type of capital ship in the fleet. Now, I need to impress upon all of you about the hero. It is a broken, mean-spirited little vessel. It is a wonderful ship in either fleet. I'm going to not try to take them in this fleet because we're playing Commerce Protection Fleet. If we have spare points or maybe can upgrade a protector to a hero, I'll do so. But I wanna stick with the aesthetic and the theme here, because as we all know, tactics are secondary to aesthetics. If the ship fleet doesn't look good, then it's not worth taking. And that'll be the hill that I'm gonna die on here. So let's look at our options. So we have the protector and we have the emissary. Now the protector has 2 different varieties, and the emissary has 2 different varieties. The protector variant that has the longer range firepower on its main weapons for a reduced firepower amount. Yeah, Bianca, yes. Heroes will break you, and they are very mean ships. When they say it's equal to a lunar, they're lying to you. It's better than a lunar. So, but getting back to the point, we have access to our protector and we have access to our emissary. Now, the protector, 2 different versions. One is slightly longer range firepower for reduced strength, and we have one that has slightly better firepower for reduced range. Now, personally, I'm going to take the higher strength firepower for 2 important reasons. Number 1, a protector really should never get that close to an enemy unless you have to. And 2, if you do get that close, I want those extra dice to roll. Even if it means I'm not getting 45-centimeter ion cannons, I would much rather have a much stronger weapon battery. Now, how many am I going to take? I take protectors in squads of 2. I need to get that strength 5 torpedo up to a strength 10, and I need to make all that other firepower more relevant if I'm going to be shooting a target. And because the protectors are a aggressive forward-facing ship, I need them to be able to be effective on the assault, even if they're going to be moving slowly across the board. So protector, I'm going to take 2 protectors. Plus 185, plus 185. Okay, so now we're at 750 points. Okay, so there we are. 2 protectors added on to the Gambit. Now, we have to think about where we're going to go from here. We have a lot of choices. We have some decent launch capacity coming out of the Custodian with its launch capacity 6, which is pretty ridiculous given its ship size. And then we have decent firepower for torpedoes out of all of them. We're a little bit weak in a number of areas. Now, we can be crazy and I do mean crazy, crazy, and grab the Explorer and then completely resolve any and all ordnance problems that our fleet is ever going to have in the near future. Or we can take a whole mess of emissaries. Now, I am going to be cheeky. I'm going to take the Explorer. Now, why am I doing this? One, I am increasing my launch capacity for fighters and bombers up by 8 for 230 points. Incredibly cheap. Dirt cheap for what you're getting. Yes, the ship is vulnerable. It has 1 shield. It has 4 up rear armor. But the enemy is going to have so many other things to be concerned about. They're likely not going to focus fire on it unless they're an Imperial Navy player with 5 or 6 Nova cannons, which is exactly what I would do if I were an Imperial Navy player with 5 or 6 Nova cannons. So, we are adding an Explorer. Now, we may do a little bit more to this Explorer later. Also, the Explorer critically brings us grav hook capacity. Okay, so where are we? 980. All right. Now we have a couple of choices again from here. We have 4 grav hooks open to us. I kind of want to get that grav hook capacity up to 6. I'm going to take an emissary, specifically the version that has the 2 grav hooks. So that's plus 110. All right, we're at 1090. Do that here. Emissary at 110. Now, we have grav hook options. Grav hook option number 1, of course, is the Warden. Wardens can be taken on Explorers, and we can take Nikasar Dows. This is a question about where you want your dumb firepower to come from. Nikasar Dows are no joke, but they're very expensive. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a squad of 6 emissaries. Wardens, because they're 30 points a pop for 2 weapons batteries and a lance. Yeah, they're slow, but they're still maneuverable. And that's a really solid little escort squadron. Wardens. So 180 points for a squad of 6. Let's add that to our total count. Okay, so here we are at 1270. This leaves us 230 points to play around with. That's a lot of points that we can play with. We can do things like, actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to add 4 Castellans. You ready for this? This is going to be cool, guys. 4 Castellans for 200 points. And then we're going to upgrade our commander in the final 30 for that final 30 points to 80, and we are exactly at 1,500 points. There we go. Look at that. So now you have a Custodian, 2 Protectors, an Explorer, 1 Emissary, 6 Wardens, and 4 Castellans. You now have a fleet that is going to effectively... Here, let me reduce the size here. View, zoom. So you can get the whole view. Hopefully you can see this. So this is 1,500 points exactly, guys. This fleet is very, very strong in everything that you need to be Tau. You have a strong battleship that you can place a commander on, and if you want, you can swap your commander from... Actually, no, he has to be on the Custodian, I believe, in this fleet. Bianca, you don't need a messenger in this fleet because the Custodian has the tracking system. So, we now have a Koro. Yep. So we have a Koro on a Custodian, 1,500 points exactly. We have firepower out the eyeballs when it comes to torpedo strength, because we have our Custodian, the Protectors, and I think the Emissary at this level has torpedoes as well. Let's quickly go up and take a peek. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. So if we go down to the Emissary, come on, all the way down. Here we go. Emissary, grav hook. Okay, so this guy has Barracudas. That's not a bad thing. Okay, you have more launch capacity. Oh, you can actually, no, you can take this version right here. that has the gravitic launchers. Take this version here, the Borkan configuration. Get more torpedoes, squadron this up with your protectors, or have it all by itself just to be a flanker and give you that warden capacity. Okay? That way you have a squad of 6 ion cannon equipped escorts. So you use the messenger on the explorer feet and not the protector. No, I actually use the messenger in both fleets. It's a matter of where the points fall. The messenger ship has a bit of a strange point value, and it always goes around by itself. So if I'm going to be using it, I want to be in a position where it's protected. So let me show you. The Merchant Fleet, any of these are going to show the messenger. So the messenger here is a 50-point escort that it's all by itself. Okay? Now, if you want to take one Castellan down, make it a squad of 3, and then add in your messenger, that's fine. Realize that your enemy will likely be able to identify that messenger and shoot it out of the sky. And it has to stay close to the ships that are shooting, or the ones that are trying to make proper defenses. So, be very careful with your messengers. When you have access to the custodian, generally it's a better choice for a tracking system. Does that make sense? I hope that does. But if you want and you have the points free, you can throw a messenger in there and get a little bit extra coverage outside of the bubble of the custodian. But there's nothing wrong with having your protectors and your custodian close to each other. Right, but it's not Bianca, it's not in the same squadron. I don't think the messenger can join other squadrons. Let me quickly double check. That's a good thing to check, because I think it has to function by itself. Where is it? Messenger. It can function independently. So you can throw it in with the Castellans. You can, if you want. Personally, it's definitely a good way to make your Castellans more resilient against ordnance, but they don't really have... it's not going to be really benefiting the ordnance. No, it can. I know this is delayed, but the tracking system is only really good if you're firing beyond 45. And the Castellan firepower, if I remember correctly, is still only 30. Oh no! Oh no, I'm wrong! Bianca, you've discovered something amazing. It's 45. It will benefit the Castellans a great deal. Well, not only that, not only will you get better, potentially better coverage, but these guys won't suffer from a negative column shift out of range. Let me just double check. May Squadron and the escort except orcas. Okay. Okay, so just bear that in mind. It can squadron with the Castellans. It cannot. Messengers cannot squadron with orcas or wardens, but it can be with the Castellans. All right, so that is the first fleet. So looking at it again, 1,500 points exactly. Custodian with an LD8 commander, 2 protectors. Either variant, I prefer the one with the higher power, short-range weaponry. An explorer for that beautiful launch capacity 8. Emissary at 110, the one with the torpedoes preferably. 6 wardens, so 6. And X4 Castellans, or you can have alternatively a messenger for 50 points and only 3 Castellans. Okay? So those are the 2 alternatives right there. So now that we are done with this Tau fleet, why don't we go and do another one? What's the next fleet you guys want me to build? Or do you want me to do another Tau fleet in another style? By the way, hello everyone who's watching. I'm really glad that you guys have come and joined us. So, for those of you who are probably just joining in, let's see. Second list, would I do a Sororitas fleet at 1,500? I've had a decent result on a battleship heavy list but the campaign, but I want to know my take. And, thanks, Matthew. You want me to make a freaking pirate wolf pack. You really love torturing me, don't you? Okay, Harry, let's do... Now, we're going to be doing the Sororitas list, recognize that that Sororitas list is going to be changed relatively soon because we're going to have some modifications done to it, but we can still make one. Now, yeah, because Pirate Wolf packs are not easy, Matthew. I want you to know, because playing that game is going to be, ooh, but we'll do it. We will do it. I am here for a reason. Okay, so, first things first, I'm gonna have to, the Sororitas list. I have to find it. Hold on a second. Let me open up Book of the Void. All right, can you guys see this? Can you see Book of the Void 1? Now, again, elements of this are going to be changing because there are changes in the pipeline to be added, but here we are in the Sororitas list. Now, Harry wants me to make a 1500 Sororitas list, and he's had decent results on Battleship heavy lists. Personally, I would not necessarily focus on the battleships. I mean, you can, and they're good. We made them to be good. I would personally actually focus more on, oh God, Matthew, that is, you're bold for the Adepticon tournament list, but we'll work on it. We'll do it. Okay, Matthew? And yes, it is. It's okay, Matthew. We hate you too, but we hate you in the loving way, especially me because I have to help you make your list. Okay, this is a battle 1500 point list. Let's erase the board. Now, let's look at our fleet list. We have a couple of choices here. We may include one canonist in our fleet. If it is up above 750 points, we must include a canonist. So we don't have a choice. 75 points. Boom. Oops. Ew, that's not right. 75 points. Next, we can have some secondary commanders. We're going to worry about this later. If we have holes in our points, we're going to worry about Dialogus Ministries or the Living Saint. We're going to look at our capital ships. Now, we have the choice of a Fraterus Templar battleship. We have, of course, the Carmina, which is so nice. We have the Sanctum, the Abbey, and the Chalice. We also have 1 to 10 strike cruisers and commissioned escorts. Okay? Oh, so we have to play this as if it were a modified Space Marine Imperial Navy fleet because it utilizes elements from both of them. So we have to ask ourselves, where's our launch capacity coming from? Where are torpedoes coming from? And how much do we hate our enemy? Okay? Because we want them to burn. Now, the bulk of my fleet, we're going to be building it, is I'm going to be working off of strike cruisers and probably more strike cruisers than battleships. I would want maybe one battleship designed specifically for shooting things. I'm going to have my firepower in my battleship. I'm going to have my boarding and my torpedoes in my strike cruisers. And then I'm going to have escorts to help balance that out. I could also alternatively take one of the what's it called? I'm sorry, I'm right in front of it. One of the cathedral vessels, the Sanctum or the Abbey. But if I'm going to be taking them, I'm going to have to take a Living Saint because that's how you really benefit from having these grand cruisers in your fleet. So first, we have our commander at 75. So we have a canonist. 75 points. And next, we are going to get some strike cruisers. Okay? Now, let's go down. Let's go up to the strike cruisers. Make sure there aren't any interesting or exciting upgrades. Now, we can purchase an additional shield for 15 points. If I'm going to have a strike cruiser heavy fleet, I am going to make sure I have this upgrade. So 150 points becomes 165, flat out. Okay, so I'm going to take a bare minimum of 3 right now. So I'm going to add plus 165, plus 165, plus 165. Boom. Okay, now which one am I going to take? I'm going to take Melta torpedoes for now, because Melta torpedoes are beautiful and we should all want more of them. So I probably should put this behind here so I don't confuse anybody. Copy. Paste. Paste. Okay. We are at 570. Now, we have to worry about launch capacity. Well, our best options for launch capacity are the Priory, which has an amazing... Now, this is going to be going down to 3 squadrons, just so you know. Doesn't make it any less effective, but it's still... This is going to be our primary carrier for our game. So let's take 3 more. Let's have 3 more strike cruisers. Plus 165, plus 165, plus 165. Boom. So we're at 1065. We now have 6 strike cruisers. Boom, boom. Okay, so these are Priory, and these are Sanctum. Okay, so this pretty much covers a lot of torpedoes and all of our launch capacity. We have launch capacity 9. So now we have to ask ourselves, where are we getting the gun? And I am going to confuse all of you because I am a bad person. I'm not going battleships. I'm going to go with the Chalice battle cruisers. Why? Because these things are actually freaking evil. 230 points. All ahead full 5d6. It has Melta torpedoes at strength 6, dorsal bombardment cannons, and 45 centimeter weapons batteries. This is a good, solid cruiser that nobody seems to want to take. But I'm going to take it because I'm going to irritate all of you for it. So 230. Oh, I may not have enough. Oh no. So hold on. If I do 460 and then reduce by 30, take away 2 shields. Oops, no, reduce by 30. Here we go. 1495. $14.95, cruiser heavy, Sisters of Battle fleet, right there. Boom. Yes, not necessarily what all of you are expecting, but this is actually a really solid fleet. You have a battle cruiser combo that you can fly in a squadron and function as an excellent hard wedge that can work alongside the boarding and launch capacity of your strike cruisers. And because it has Melta torpedoes in its prow and that strength 4 dorsal bombardment cannon, it will function excellently alongside them. If you want to be really cheeky, you can take 2 of them in a squadron and 1 of those strike cruisers in that squadron as well and use it effectively and affectionately as a bullet sponge. Because everyone's like, well, these things don't have 6-up armor all around. Well, if that strike cruiser is closer to the enemy with its 6-up armor all around, well, it's going to go down to 5 in the rear, but no one's ever going to shoot you in the rear. They have to shoot that target first if it's in a squadron. That ship is going to soak up so much firepower that you're going to find that your chalices are very hard to kill. And they have excellent strength on their weapons with good range. So there you go. 1500, 1495, almost there. Almost. Can you take a prow ram on this? I wonder if you can take a prow ram. No, you can't take a prow ram, but that's okay. There you go. You wanted a non-battleship Sisters of Battle fleet. You're looking right at it. What do you think, Harry? Is that weird enough for you, or do you need me to go even weirder? Eldari. Okay, so I have a request for Wolfpack, then we'll do Eldari. Nina, can you specify what flavor of Eldar? Dark, Corsair, Craft World. Wolfpack. Okay. Let me turn the music up because if any of you are wondering what music this is, always in for getting weirder. Let's do the Wolfpack. Let's do the Wolfpack first because that's about as weird as it gets. Let's see if I can actually find the dang thing. Rogue Traders in 174. $1,300 Wolfpack, but isn't the Wolfpack isn't tournaments 1,500? Here we go. Pirates and Wolfpack. Okay, we're gonna have to do a little bit of a deep dive on this one. Okay, using this fleet list. So bear this in mind, guys. This is gonna get weird. Okay, pirates fleets make it their business to attack 1,300. Okay, we're doing 1,300. Pirate fleets make it a business to attack relatively soft targets. When possible, they will avoid fleet. So you see this, Matt? Matt, you see this? Avoid fleet actions or any engagement that will result in substantial loss. Okay? With little material gain. Okay? Okay, you see this? This is what you're doing wrong. But anyway, you obviously hate yourself, so let's continue. Leadership. Your LD is 5 to 8. Good luck. You do have a good initiative rating. I don't know how that applies, but let's go. Pirate Commander. Pirate Captain may be embarked on a cruiser for every 500 points, or portion thereof in a fleet. If it's more than 750, it must have a pirate. So let's have a bare minimum. Yar, har, fiddle, DD, 50 points. Now, he gets 1 reroll. It can press up to 2 much more refills for 25 points each. Wow, that's cheap. We're going to remember that. Okay, capital ships. A pirate cruiser may consist of a rogue trader cruiser or any cruiser from the Imperial or Chaos fleet list worth 185 points or less. Did Henry Morgan avoid fighting the naval fleets? No, but he did eventually die as a result of it, I believe. So bear that in mind. Okay. It may also include a single Space Marine strike cruiser. Special variants, refits, and Nova cannons may not be used. So I want you... Oh, and of course I'm getting a phone call. Perfect timing. Hold on one moment, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. My apologies, everybody. Okay. No Nova cannons allowed. You can do Chaos and or Imperial cruisers. And there are no restrictions on how many Chaos or Imperial cruisers in a single fleet. You can also take... Would a bombardment cannon strike cruiser count as a special refit? Yes, it will. Okay. So, slaughter is tempting. That is very true, and there's nothing wrong with that. For all battleship, you can have 0 to 2. Count as cruisers for fleet building. Escorts. You have, basically, you can take all of this stuff. Now, look at this, baby. Do you see this? Do you see this, ladies and gentlemen? Escort carriers. You have access to the best escort in the game beyond the Nikasar Dao. So, we're going to be taking some escort carriers. Okay? So, let's go and look very quickly at the For All battleship. We want to see what we can potentially get. All right, let's For All Raider, Commission Escort. Where is that thing? It's somewhere around here. I hope it's... Here we go. For All battleship. 10-hit battleship, 20 centimeter speed, 45-degree turns, 3 shields, 5 up armor, 3 turrets. 4 weapons battery, 45 centimeters, strength 14 left. Starboard weapons battery, 45 centimeters, strength 14 right. Dorsal lance battery, strength 3, front, left, right. Prow lance battery out the front, strength 3. Okay, so we have a ship that's very, very similar to a repulsive Grand Cruiser in this vessel at base value. You have a complex targeting array that gives you... Matthew, definitely a good choice. 5 escort carriers and then a rogue trader cargo vessel for that +1 LD reload. Smart move. That's probably what we're going to be doing too. Anyway. All targets less than 30 centimeters is closing, and do not suffer column shifts or targets greater than 30 centimeters. When taken in a pirate list, they cannot use fleet rerolls, and they will attempt to disengage when crippled. So that's a big negative. Okay, Matt, since we're doing this for you, do you want to play around with For All? No, this thing's actually a little bit better than a repulsive in some ways. I would personally take the repulsive over it because... You know, it looks better, and there's actually a mini for it, but... Matt, do you want to play with a For All? Yes or no? I'll let you make that decision while we go back up to the fleet list. So I'm going to take Matthew's advice here. 5 escort carriers plus a rogue trader cargo vessel. Cargo vessel, boom, right here. In one squadron. What does that do? Well, what that does for us is, because escort carriers have a native -1 LD to reload. By taking an escort carrier and that... Okay. Matt, there is no mini for it. You have to kit bash it. There's never been a mini for the for all. Okay, escort carrier, so 60 times 5, 300. I've never seen one. As far as I was aware, it was a kit bash. So if they do exist, that's a mini I don't have. Oh, I'm sure. Find another Xenos-looking ship. They're everywhere. And if anything, go in and have a talk with the guys over at Soulforge Studios. I'm sure that they will be willing to make a for-all battleship. It's one of those ships that really has been kind of ignored. So we have our escort carriers here. Now we're going to grab our cargo vessel for 20 points. That's our first squadron. So that's 320 points for that squadron. Now, we're going to talk cruisers. We have a lot of choices. At 185 or less, we're talking lunar. We're talking gothic. We are talking most of the lexicon of the chaos list. So we're talking carnage, murder, slaughter. So no carriers. If you had noticed that, but you can take endeavors, endurances, defiance, dauntlesses. Also, for every escort that has lances ordnance, you have to take one that's pure batteries. This isn't a bad thing either, okay? So if we have to take a escort for ordnance, we have to take one for battery. Not a bad choice. Thank you for giving me a key in on this. I've never built one of these fleets. Each cruiser. So, squadron of 3 to 6 escort vessels must be included for each cruiser in the fleet, organized and mixed desired. All transports of various types typically not included in the raiding fleet. Once they 100 used. Note: parabands do not have access to complex systems. Number of escort vessels utilize ordnance for lance surfacing may not operate those solely on weapons batteries. So let's look at our weapons battery options. We have swords, where's the and iconoclasts, effectively. Now, I'm going to recommend in this particular scenario we go the cheap option, iconoclasts. At 30 points, strength 3 weapons battery, 30 centimeters speed. There's nothing wrong with iconoclasts. They are a phenomenal little escort, and in this particular fleet, more is definitely better. So, iconoclast, 180 points. Okay, so that puts us up to, boom, 180. 500 points. We already have 12 ships, and we're only at 500 points. Okay, now, we now have room for 2 cruisers. I'm getting a feeling, I'm getting this premonition that Matthew wants aggression and speed. So we have a couple of choices. We can play the murder route, or we can play the slaughter route. Okay? If you're worried about things like Eldar, we're going to have a lot of weapons batteries on fast platforms. Okay? So we're going to be taking some iconoclasts, and we're maybe taking more than just one squadron. So, Matthew, do you want slaughters or do you want murders? Plus the pirate, yeah. So this is an important thing. The murder and being murder heavy, murder. Harry, it is worth considering. You do get a little more battery power and a little more durability and more resistance against ordnance. But you really, in this scenario, we want to cram as many ships into this fleet as we can. We need maximum number of vessels right now. If we have a little extra points, maybe we can shift shift points and upgrade them to swords. Let's worry about maximum number of vessels. Matthew, the Inferno, I will never recommend. I never consider the Inferno to be a viable vessel. They're good-ish when squadroned, but compared to the Murder, it's just not as effective because the Murder has such incredibly good firepower at long range, and the Slaughter is so incredibly good in close range, there's no room for the Inferno, if that makes any sense. And we're also trying to be as cheap as we can. So if you want to do the Inferno, we can play that game. If you have a tactic in mind for it, we can do it. I would not recommend it, especially not in this fleet where you don't have the support of other heavy ships to allow the Inferno to do anything of value. So remember, you're going to be if you're being aggressive, the Murder is going to be moving forward, probably squadron with a second Murder, maybe even a third. So you can dump 6 lances at 60 centimeters, and anything that ends up in your port and starboard is looking down 20 to 30 weapons batteries at 45. It's a giant drill in space. Okay, we're going Slaughter. Good choice. So we have 3 Slaughters. Let's add right now 165 plus 165. Let's add in 3 Slaughters. There is nothing wrong with more Slaughters. Slaughters are your friend, because they are ridiculously powerful for what you get. Now, you're going to be facing some... So, the Carnage is not a bad ship. I consider the Carnage to be a specialist ship, specifically specialized for dealing with Eldar. If I want good firepower for weapons batteries, I can get better firepower out of the Slaughter. And if your ship, your fleet is designated as a fast-moving, aggressive, in-your-face fleet. Okay? So, here's the funny thing. We have 12 escorts, 3 cruisers. We haven't even cracked the 1,000-point mark. Okay? So, this means we can take more escorts. And I like the idea of more escorts. Don't you? We have we have to take battery escorts. We can take swords or we can take iconoclasts. Taking a set of 6 firestorms would mean that not firestorms, I'm sorry. Taking a squad of 6 sword frigates would increase that 180 to... I'll just do the math because I'm very bad at math. 35 times 6. 210. That would leave us... Oh, God, I think I just lost my math. 995, 210. That would leave us... it would leave us enough room for 1 cruiser and a bunch of escorts. Okay? Or we can take more escorts. Oh, wait, no. We have to go to 300. 1,300, not 1,500. I keep forgetting. And Adepticon, the Shimmer problem is I didn't have enough lances for Chaos. I'm going to have to see what your Chaos list was, because Chaos never has problems with lances. Okay, well, if the problem is lance, and we're at... What was it? What was our number? Our magic number was 995. So, 995, and you need lances. Okay? So if we take another pirate, where are we? 1045 plus 180... Okay, that gives us a Gothic. So, another Yarhar Fiddle D. $50. And we're adding in a Gothic. You have lances. Now, we have 75 points to play with. Let's look at what upgrades we can take. Now, we can, with 75 points to play with, where can I... Okay, so only 3 cruisers can be taken. Damn. Okay, my apologies. So we have to turn around. We have to take escorts then. And in this particular scenario, my recommendation is we're at a kind of awkward point level, okay? Because we're sitting at 995. we need to... We have 305 points to play with. Okay? Let's take a for all battleship. Screw it. Don't count as cruisers for fleet building. 1245. Take another pirate commander. Boom. There you go. You may have to find a for all battleship, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But what you have here, you have 12 escorts. So this is 1295. What do you get? You have launch capacity 10 out of your with a +1 leadership to reload. You have iconoclasts you have squad of 6 iconoclasts, 3 slaughters, and a for all battleship. That's not bad for 1,300 points. You're going to be outnumbering your enemy pretty dramatically throughout most of your battles. And your slaughters can function as an excellent screen for your for all battleship, basically being distraction carnifexes that your enemy can't avoid, while the for all battleship, you can only take 3 cruisers, so you can't take... There is no Gothic. You have 3 cruisers right here. But this functions as an excellent screen for your for all battleship. It can function behind the lines, using its advanced firepower in good range, and not to mention on a frontal assault, you have 6 lances. Definitely not a bad choice. Yes, it's risky. You don't want it to be crippled, but it has a lot of firepower for its size. So there you go. Is that satisfactory, Matthew? And you can pick, of course, where your 2 pirates go, probably on one of the 2 slaughters. I would not recommend, by the way. No, actually, it says specifically that they do not count as cruisers. Here. These count... Oh, they count... Damn it. Dang it, I misread that. Ah, Matthew, why? Why do you do this to me? Ah! Matthew, you're so mean. You're cruel. Okay, so we have to... In this particular scenario, then, we have to fill it up with escorts, because that's really all the room we have left. And it has to be weapons batteries. So, we have 305 points. Why don't we take another squad of... it has to be the iconoclast or the sword. So, let's take some swords for a little extra firepower at 210. Oops. At 205. Okay? So... Now we have 195 points to play around with. Which, you need lances. You can take the Firestorm or the Idolator. Now, in this particular scenario, would take the Firestorm. Just to avoid half weapon batteries and half others. Alright, Bianca, see you later, man. Thanks for coming and watching. I personally don't like to mix and match my escort squadrons. You absolutely could mix and match your groups, but I usually don't. I would take 3 Firestorms right here. So, what do we got? 40 points plus 160. Oh, nope, can't go there. We have 100 points. I'm stupid. Actually, since we're at 100 points, take 2 Idolators. At 1295. That'll give you some lances. Unfortunately, in order to make this fleet a tournament viable fleet at 1,300 points, you're kind of restricted. Again, this is not a fleet normally meant to be used in this manner. Actually, nope, it's going to be about the same. Yeah. Now, you do have a lot of lances in this fleet already. You have the 3 slaughters right there. Why the Idolator or the Firestorm? Because you have only a limited number of points left. And if we went with the Firestorm, you'd be sitting at like 280 points, which is an awkward area. And you can't really pay for anything else in that regard. So you might as well just soak up the soak up the points for a higher point value vessel and get 45 centimeter weapons batteries out of them. It's not necessarily a tactical choice, it's just you might as well given the points. Does that make sense, Matt? I mean, you could also instead, go with that and then dump 5 points into the slaughters and make them murders. That's 15 points. That'll put you right back to where we were. Okay, so now that makes sense, who was it? Who asked for it? Nina, you asked for Eldar. Nina, can you pick an Eldar? Or 3 Cobras. You could do 3 Cobras too. Is Nina there? Well, if Nina isn't there, somebody else can pick which Eldar faction we can do. Anyone? Pick a fleet. Excite me. That sounded weird, but it is what it is. Hey, we have 10 viewers. That's great. Well, 9 viewers again. Hey, yeah, well. Just realize, Matthew, in a Wolfpack fleet, you're going to be restricted in some ways. You have to find a way around it, and you got to get those escort carriers in there somehow, because otherwise you're going to be stomped. Because fighters, bombers, and A-boats do terrible things to an escort-heavy fleet. You can't launch ordnance, they will bomb you, and they will hit and run you. Late Gothic Corsairs. Ooh, okay. So the expanded Eldar list. Let's get all the way down to the Eldar section, past Chaos. Here we go. Eldar Craft World, Eandan, Eldar Crusader list. Is this the right one? Yes, it is. Okay, here we go. All right, so Corsair list. Now, the Corsair list takes things a little bit differently than most other fleets in the game. And Rich Craft. Hey Matt, I'm gonna actually go with Adler Shipyard because he didn't get a request in, and we're gonna do a Craft World list. I'll do a Corsair list later, maybe. Okay, because this is actually interesting because I normally don't see people ask for Craft World too. My apologies. I'll do a Corsair one after this, I promise. Okay, so Eandan Craft World. Now we have 2 options. Well, sorry, 2 options for a standard commander, and then we have a modified commander here with the Eldar Hero. I am going to ignore the Eldar Hero. I'm going to go strictly here with the Eldar Autarch options and move on from there. Now, let's have a look at Prince Uriel, Bearer of the Flame. Lore. Let's look at the actual importance of 150 points. What do we get for it? He comes with 1 reroll as part of his point cost. Another one can be pursed at 25. He must be embarked on a dragon ship. It does not have to be his dragon ship. He can lead a Corsair list if necessary. He must be embarked aboard the Flame of Asuryan if it is present, in which case his cost is 125 points. So you get a... Hey, what's up, Gerverson? Oof, Gerverson. Why does everyone have such interesting names? Okay, so if you want to take the Flame, you gotta take Uriel. Okay? So, but you get a discount on his point cost by 25 points, which is nice. Okay, other things. Farseers, you can take 0 to 3 of them. Farseers give a vessel a reroll. 30 point cost, pretty cheap. What are our ship options? We, of course, have the Flame, which is a very good ship. You have the Dragon ship. You have Wraith ships. Ghost ships, which I hate to say you should never take. The option for the Aspect Warrior hosts, Shadow Hunters as escorts. Notice that we don't have really any option for escorts. We just have the Shadow Hunters. Bit of a shame, but they're not too bad. Okay, let's start with a commander. Now, I'm a little weird. I take Prince Uriel at the 125, and I take the Flame of Asuryan. Why? Because it's amazing. It is a phenomenally good vessel. So this is basically going to be a recreation of my Craftworld Eldar tournament list. Now, Craftworld Eldar also focus on cruisers. They're a cruiser-heavy fleet, so taking a really powerful cruiser is not a bad thing. So we're going to take the Flame of... How do you spell it? Asuryan. At 320 points. We also have to take Uriel at 125 because we get a discount on his points. Why the hell not? Remember that Uriel gets Aspect Warrior boarding teams on his vessel, no matter what, which is important. Okay, so what do we have? 320 plus 125. Now, the Flame of Asuryan has launch capacity 4. We need more than that. We need at least launch capacity 8, even in a Eldar fleet. So we have to have 1 dragon ship for every 2 wraith ships, which means we'll be minimum taking 4 wraith ships. Okay? Bear in mind, yes, the Flame of Asuryan does count as a dragon ship, but we do need a dragon ship. Now, what are we equipping it with? If you look at the firepower of the dragon ship, we have a couple of options, but one of them is simply better than the other. Okay? We have a Prow Weapons Battery at 14 and a Prow Pulsar Lance at 3. Between these two options, given the Eldar firepower, this is better at Strength 14. And when it comes to the other 2 options, we need this launch capacity. We need it hard. So we're going to take a Weapons Battery and Launch Bay dragon ship. And those things cost, what was it, 210? Expensive, but, or was it 260? Something ridiculously expensive. Dragon ship, 260 points. Okay, now we need Wraith ships. Now, we need a minimum of 4 Wraith ships. Wraith ships are 160 points. Well, first, let's add on to 60. Now, 160. Oops. 160, 160, and 160. All right, let's double check my history, make sure I got the right number of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 Wraith ships. Wraith ships. Wraith ships. X4. Now, what am I going to equip my Wraith ships with? Well, we have weapons batteries out our ears on the Flame of Asuryan, because it has strength 16 and 2 pulsar lances. This thing is strength 14, so we should really be focusing on our lance game. And we get a strength 2 pulsar lance out of this sucker. Great choice. And we're going to take Keel torpedoes at strength 4. This is, at least in my opinion, the best build for a Wraith ship. 2 pulsar lances and torpedoes. Yes, you're going to be dividing your time between reload and lock on, but you don't have much of a choice because the other option is launch bay. We already have launch capacity 8. We need those Eldar torpedoes. So we have over here in our notepad, Lance plus Torp. Now, what do we have? 1345 points remaining. Well, how expensive are our escorts? Because we always want escorts. 40. Well, let's see how many can we take. 40. 240. Well, plus 240. Oh, we can't take that many now, can we? So, I must have done my math here wrong. Hold on. Let me do my math again. Something is not right here. No, I think that's right. I think I may have made a mistake somewhere. Oh, I see where I made my mistake. I don't need to take the Wraith. I don't need to take as many Wraith ships. I totally forgot. If he's led by an Autarch, which does include Iyanden, sorry, Iyanden, Prince Uriel, because he does count as an Autarch. I don't need to have my Wraith ships. He just has it. So let me rebuild this. My apologies. 320 plus 125 plus 260 plus 16. I'm going to get 3 Wraith ships. I knew there was something going on here. And now I can add 240 for 6 escorts. There we go. Now things make frickin' sense. Shadowhunter. 6. And now we have 75 points to play with. So let's look at our potential upgrades. We can take Farseers. We can take Aspect Warrior Hosts. We can take rerolls on our Fancy Pants Boy, which I think is not a bad idea. Let's purchase one reroll for Uriel, because reloading matters. And now we have 50 points to spare. Let's purchase an Aspect Warrior Host on our Ghost Ship, and a Farseer for that Ghost Ship as well. Boom, 1,500 points exactly. So congratulations, 1,500 points. There you go. This is my tournament list for Eldar. Do you guys have any questions? So remember, Aspect Warrior Hosts make these effectively Space Marines. It means their assault boats do +1 hit. Yeah, I mean, but this fleet is savage, and I highly recommend it, Adler Shipyard. But this is my list. You have 2 excellent flagships right here with a Farseer on it. Aspect Warrior Fighting Host means your your assault boats function as basically better versions of the better versions of a Thunderhawk. And the Farseer gives you a reroll, which is really important when you're dependent on those reload special orders. Lance and Torpedo Wraith ships are nothing to be sneezed at. The enemy can't ignore them. It's really solid. Now, Matthew, you wanted me to do a Corsair list. Now, Corsair list functions... Oh, okay, Lascaris, that's fine. So, over here in the Eldar Corsairs fleet list, we have a challenge here. We need to somehow get launch capacity 8 into a fleet that... Oh, thank you, Gervison. We need to get launch capacity 8 into a fleet that is extraordinarily expensive, because our carrier vessels are the Voidstalker and the Eclipse at 250 points and 380 points. Now, at 1,500 points, it is okay to bring a Voidstalker. You're not necessarily going to use it to its best effect, but it will be a lot of fun. So instead, I'm going to do things a little differently. Okay? I am going to make a 1,500 point fleet with no battleships. Okay? We're going to be a little bit ballsy here. So the first thing we have to worry about is our commander. Well, we have to have we can include 1 Pirate Prince. He has +2 LD, but we're above 750 points. We have no choice. We are required to spend 100 points on our Fancy Pants loser. Now, we could also take the Eldar Hero. There's no reason to, because we don't want to take reserves from the other fleet. Now, this Knife Ear now has to have a flagship. Well, we're going to give him an Eclipse Cruiser, and in fact, we want 2 Eclipse Cruisers, okay? So that's 250. This is going to take up all of our launch capacity requirements for the fleet. We'll be able to launch fighters, launch bombers. We'll be okay, and we'll be protected against incoming enemy ordnance, because we do need that protection. Yes, bombers do suffer hollow fields. They, however, can always roll maximum numbers against you. They don't have to worry about turrets, ever. You don't have any. Now, we now have to take into consideration things like Escorts. Escorts are amazing in the Eldar list. This is where all the pain comes from. Nightshades for torpedoes, Hemlocks for pulsar lances, Aconites for weapons batteries, and Hellbores for everything. Because Hellbores are literally all three of these mashed together with the pain of held together with the tears of angels and duct tape. They're fragile, but they are insanely powerful. I am going to be a edgy boy. I'm going to take 6 Hellbores. Why? Because I can. I don't care if they're 65 points a pop. They're awesome. I'm going to be ballsy. So, 65 points. I got to do math. 65 times 6. 390 plus 600. Okay. I'm regretting my life choices. Okay. Hellbores times 6. Oh, of course, my phone goes off now. My apologies, everyone. Hold on a second. I do have to take this phone call. I will be right back. My apologies, everybody. I am back. Now, we have 6 Hellbores. Now, we have the Hellbores literally give us everything. We have Lances, torpedoes, and weapons batteries. Now, the weapons batteries are pretty weak, so we probably could use to fit in some more weapons batteries, and we got some good room, so let's add some Aconites. Let's completely ridiculously balance this fleet. Let's have fun. Okay, so 55 points times 6, 330. Okay. Because why not? Now, we have 180 points left. So we can add in Hemlocks or Nightshades. That's a hard choice. They're both excellent. They're both phenomenal craft. I'm going to recommend in this particular scenario to add in Nightshades because Eldar torpedoes are amazing, and we have an overabundance of pulsar lances already. So how many can we fit? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 Nightshades. Now we have 20 points. I don't think there's really any place to fill it in, which is kind of a bummer because these older lists don't really give you options for upgrades anywhere. And you'll find yourself sitting in the scenario where you're not really situated to have you'll have these gaps and holes in these scenarios, and it's really unfortunate. Maybe you can convince your fellow player to allow you to go 5 points over and take a reroll. But at 1480, you're still going to be highly competitive. And as Eldar, Bianc, why take Aconites? Strength 5 weapons battery. Strength 5 weapons battery. That's why. Because Strength 5 weapons battery. I'm responding to you as you go. Aconites are actually probably the best of all the escorts. They are as overpowered as the Hellbore with significantly less cost of the Hellbore. The Aconite. Remember that Eldar weapons batteries always count as closing. You will always maximize your effect. You're going to be shooting a Strength 30 Eldar weapons battery at everything you want to kill, and it's going to kill just about everything. I have had that squadron of Aconites annihilate battleships in a single lock-on because I just have a bucket of dice to throw at my enemy. Actually, I'm going to disagree with you on that. Pulsars are not as reliable as you think. A Aconite squadron with its weapon batteries has more potential and more likely potential for damage on a lock-on than a squad of Hellbores. So, just because it's so many dice. It is just so many dice, and they always count as closing. You're always maximizing the amount of shots you get. Now, you can do that, but again, I was going a little crazy with this fleet. So if you want to be a little more reserved, which is, lame, we can make a more reserved Eldar escort list with, of course, the 2 carriers. So sitting at 600 points, because for our bare minimum carriers, we can add in some Nightshades, because Nightshades are a more conservative and very effective escort. So at 40, that's 240 for 1 squadron. Why don't we go for a squad of Hemlocks with them? So that's squad of Hemlock. And we are sitting now at 1080. We have a lot of choices here. We can go pretty much anywhere we want because we have a lot of room now. You can take a Voidstalker battleship if you want. We can just slide that bad boy in there. Congratulations. You now have 2 cruisers, 12 escorts, and a Voidstalker. But that goes against what I said before. So let's take out the Voidstalker. We can, well, in that case, let's just add more escorts. Why don't we add in, well, what do you think? Should we add in some Aconites? We could. We have the room at 330 plus 330, because this will allow you to have a little bit more coverage against, say, dealing with other Eldar players, because you don't have any that many weapons batteries elsewhere. The Hellbore has a whole strength 1. That is not really adequate. I appreciate your motivation, but you do need weapons batteries in an Eldar list, especially if you encounter another Eldar. So, yeah. I'm going to stick here with these Aconites to fill in my my missing problem, and now suddenly we go from having 12 to 16 escorts. Wait, no, I'm sorry, 18 escorts. Now we can do something really weird. We can actually look over here at our reroll options. We can grab 75 points worth of rerolls, giving us 2 total rerolls at 1485. We're a little bit closer to our mark. But the Hellbore has batteries, but they're mostly there to knock down shields before the Pulsar Lances fire. Okay? Aconites are meant to shoot many, many holes in things, quite with a great deal of enthusiasm and devastation. I highly recommend you try them out, Bianc. They are very good. Now, remember, everything here is astoundingly fragile. Okay? Something's going to die here one way or another because you all have 4-up armor. All right, everyone. I have time for one more fleet. What do you want me to build? Oh, the music's dead. Oh, you can't come out. I thought it was buy one, then one, then one. Hold on. Let me read it. Oh, I see. You are correct. Well, hold on. That changes things. Man, that is so poorly worded. So 410. Man, that just makes things more complicated. Well, what I'm going to do here is do a little bit of division then. I'm going to add another Hemlock and another Nightshade. Okay, so now I have a squad of 3 and a squad of 4 of each of them. So I now have 7x Nightshades and 7x Hemlocks, and you can divide those up into squadrons of any way that you desire. That puts you up to 1490. There you go. Problem solved. Now, next fleet. By the way, thank you for correcting me. It's been a while since I've gone through all of these in detail again. Come on, I know other people are there. Tell me what to build next. Oh, I hate you, Bianc. Okay, we're gonna go build Tyranids. Okay, you know what, Bianc, I'm gonna go do orcs, because orcs are better. I don't want to give myself a headache dealing with bugs. Okay, let me show you guys my orc tournament list. This is a list that I actually get a great deal of pleasure out of. Bianc, I will, in the next stream, I promise, start with Tyranids. Okay? I'm going to hate myself for all time, but I'll start with Tyranids. But I want to show off this really awesome orc fleet that I really, really enjoy. I'm going to use the third Armageddon War Orc Wog fleet list because the other fleet lists are either too simple or they're too complicated. And I like playing with my toys. Now, a lot of people have problems with orcs. A lot of people have problems with orcs because they are like, I can never win. That's because one must allow the orkiness to enter your soul. And you must remember in your soul that, Wolfpack is one thing, Tyranids are different. That you must remember that there is the Krumpen, the Daka, but mostly the Krumpen. Your focus should be, if you are an orc player, to get into boarding and ramming, even with your gun-related ships, board and ram. Also, take advantage of the ridiculous number, and I do mean ridiculous number, of fight Obamas that you can just gorge on the table. So, we're going to be playing what I like to call my Charles Martel list. Okay? My Charles Martel list is focused around the... why do you do this to me, Bianc? Okay, I'll explain Fight Obama's rules work as well when I'm done building the list. So, my list, the Martel list, is based around the Hammer class battlecruiser because it's Charles the Hammer class battlecruiser. So, first things first, for every 2 cruisers, I can pick one of the list below. So, I need to bring at least 4 cruisers. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to purchase my hammers, because those are going to be in my fleet whether I like it or not. Now, are there any kind of... Let's double check one thing, make sure there aren't any upgrades that I can potentially take. I don't remember. I haven't built this list in a while. Where's the hammer? Hammer! Hammer! Where's the hammer? Hammer, hammer, hammer. Man, where is it? Okay, I guess I put it all the way at the bottom. Where's the hammer? It should be in it. Where is the hammer? Did I miss the hammer? Wow! I hope they didn't forget to put it in. I'm probably just blind and not seeing it. Is there... Terror. Cruel Boy. Flamblaster. Gorbag's Revenge. Death Dealer. I'm just looking to make sure... Hammer class battle. I'm looking for upgrades, because some of them I may take. Yes, that does have upgrades. I'll worry about those later. Okay. No clans. Heck with clans. Okay. Here we go. So I'm taking my hammer. I need 4 cruisers. I'm taking terror ships and only terror ships. Plus 185 times 4. Boom. Oop, that's wrong. 245 plus 245 plus 185 plus 185. 3, 4. Okay, why am I doing this? Terror ships are loaded with fight Obamas. Fight Obamas are amazing. And the hammer launches fight Obamas too. You need to make sure your enemy does not overwhelm you with bombers. They will destroy your cruisers and really inconvenience everything else about your fleet. Now, we need some war bosses. Now, your Orc Warlord is 40 points a pop. I want 2 of them. I can have 1 or more Warlord in my fleet. Must be assigned to a ship or squadron. 500 points, it must have 1 Warlord. I want 2 of them. So plus 80. There we go. Because I'm going to have a Warlord on both of my hammers. So we have hammer plus warlord, hammer plus warlord, warlord. Wait for it. Oh, ask anybody. I'm very much a fan of I'm very much a fan of cruises. Now, next thing I'm gonna do, brute ram ships, because brute ram ships. The I need 6. So brute ram ship plus 150. Okay, we have brute ram ships. Why brute ram ships? Because they're amazing. Now, a lot of people like to talk about the Savage Gunship or the Onslaught or all of these. Brute ram ships, bro. Can grunts be taken in a third War of Armageddon, and can it still take claws? Yes, they can. Grunt is in every list. It has been added to the game on every level. Even here, Cyclops Cluster Fleet, Grunt, which was the original. It's been added to all fleets. Ravagers are great, but the Brute, you need to understand where the Brute is. It is the only 9-degree turning ship with a front, left, right weapons battery, and it rams amazingly against enemy ships. They are an escort-based fleet. However, they can also be made into a cruiser-based fleet as well. You have a lot of options. It's a matter of yes, you need the brutes in order to hit, but I actually get more effective firepower out of their weapons batteries, which is kind of ironic because they fire front, left, right. Everything else fires front, and they have a 90-degree turn. But if you do get that ram off, you do a hell of a lot of damage. But yes, it is true, in the original Orc list, it is far more focused on escorts. In this list, the WOG fleet list, it is actually more focused towards cruisers, because you have access to all of these larger battleships and cruisers that round out your fleet. Now, I have access right now to 40 points for gubbins. Well, what can I take? Loot of torpedoes, and put those suckers right on my Hammer class battle cruises, so I can re-roll the number of torpedoes that I get for 40. Also, something very important for the I don't like using Gorbag in 1500 point fleets. I prefer my hammers. I like my ships to be a little more shooty, and I prefer to take my terror ships instead. But that's just me. By all means, take as many of them as you want to take. Now, where's that terror ship? Terror ship. Hill Cruiser. Zhukov's Claw. Terror ship. You may replace your Prow Heavy Gun battery for a torpedo launcher at no extra points cost. Do this on every single one of your terror ships, because that turns this into a Dictator cruiser, and yeah, it's going to be hard for you to make your reload, but you do a ridiculous amount of damage with a torpedo salvo on this ship. Highly recommended, and it's one reload ordnance for both torpedoes and your fighter bombers and assault boats. And don't forget that you have assault boats. Now, Bianc has asked me to explain fighter bombers, because Bianc is a jerk. So, let me see if I can find... I don't think the rules are here. I think they are in the main rule book. So let me open that up. Did I mention that he's a jerk? Official rule book. Look how fancy that is, everyone. Fighter. Can only attack ships during its phase, like everything else. I have to get the specific rule to fighter bombers. Maybe it's in here? I have to actually find where the fighter bomber rules are. I can't always figure out where the hell it is. Maybe it's in here. Fighter-bombers. Orc attack craft are known as fighter-bombers. As they behave as both fighters and bombers, they apply a bonus to turret suppression, adding +1 attack for each marker in the wave after the attacks are modified by turrets. What that means is an Orc fighter-bomber always gets 1 attack minimum when it makes its attack. Okay? Meaning each ordnance marker that survives against turrets will be able to conduct at least 1 attack and will not have a minimum of 0 attacks. When a wave of fighter bombers attacks an enemy ship, you must decide beforehand if any of the markers will forego their attack runs in favor of turret suppression. Everyone that does this may add an additional +1 bonus to any attack the surviving bombers when they're rolling their attacks. So you can basically increase this bare minimum of 1 to 2 or 3, depending on how many are in that squadron. Okay? Fighter bombers used in this manner can contribute more bonus attacks than the defending ship. Then the defending ship actually has turrets or the number of surviving fighter bombers. In either case, at least 1 fighter bomber has to survive against turrets for the wave to attack in this manner. If you are confused, so am I, because this is the only element of BFG that needs to be rewritten from the ground up. So, example, a terror ship launches a single wave of 4 fighter bombers against the Devastation cruisers with 3 turrets and no combat air patrol. Declaring 2 markers are not attacking but will be using to suppress 2. The Devastation turrets roll 2, 3, and 4, knocking down 1 fighter bomber. Another one of the surviving markers is removed for suppressing turrets. The 2 remaining markers now each roll a 1d3, -3, minimum 0 attacks. But because each marker also is a fighter, it adds +1 attack to each marker. It then adds +2 attacks for the 2 markers used to suppress turrets, even though 1 is removed, for a single total addition of 4 attacks. Okay? So, ultimately what that means is fighter bombers are amazing. You have to do this and do it repeatedly to get your brain meats to understand. Ultimately, what it means is you can have in the fighters automatically count as turret suppression, and then you can increase the turret suppression by 1 per every fighter that doesn't make an actual attack run. I hope that makes sense. Okay, everybody. Okay, everybody. So I have to actually go now. I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope you had fun. I hope we can all do this again soon. I unfortunately have to go and deal with other issues. So again, thank you all so much for coming and watching. Thank you all so much for coming and asking questions and